Monday, January 25th, 2021. First item, can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Romeo?
Here.
Commissioner Garrison?
Present.
Commissioner DeSisto?
Present.
Commissioner Maston?
Present.
Commissioner Richter?
Present.
Chairman Williams?
Here. Thank you. And before we go on to the minutes, have a couple items we'd like to go over. First, on the good side, we'd like to welcome our two new commissioners, and Randy Garrison and Angela Romeo. And being old-fashioned, Angela, would you just give us a minute to tell us a little bit about who you are and your background, and we would appreciate that.
Absolutely. My name is Angela, and I'm originally a New Englander. I made my way to Arizona about a year ago by way of Denver. And then my professional background focuses on manufactured housing communities. I do due diligence, development from the ground up, and primarily acquisitions of manufactured housing parks. And it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Well, good. Well, we appreciate you volunteering for this very important commission. And the next new commissioner really probably doesn't need a lot of introduction. He's a lifelong resident of Cottonwood, former city council member, and just recently our supervisor for our district, Randy Garrison. You want to spend a second trying to reintroduce yourself, sir?
Well, thank you very much, President. Appreciate the ourselves. I think you covered pretty much everything. Long-time resident, been here since most of the streets in Cottonwood were dirt. We used to have a water company, so I'm pretty intimately with most of the properties in town, which is really kind of handy when it comes to doing this, because I got to watch this town grow and change, and I got to watch as each new development coming into the area change the way our city functioned and worked. And so it's going to be kind of interesting to sit in on this and participate in how our community continues to grow as we move forward. So thank you very much for allowing me to be part of this.
Well, we appreciate you volunteering. You've got a lot of experience being on the council, on the board of supervisors, and also just your overall experience of living here and working here should be a great asset. Then I have a piece of bad news, which the commissioners on board have been aware that we got notice last week that Commissioner Robert Hart passed unexpectedly. Robert was a very valuable member of this commission for 3 years. He has long great experience as an architect and engineering, made a great contribution to our proceedings, particularly in design review. We'll really miss Robert, and as a commissioner and as a friend, and our sincere condolences go out to Nancy and the family. So onward and upward. The next item on our agenda is approval of the minutes for the December 21, 2020 regular meeting. Do I hear any additions, deletions, corrections? If not, I'll make a motion to approve. And can I get a second real quick?
I'll second. I second that.
Second. Okay, all in favor? Aye.
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 All right. Now, the next item is a very important thing we do every January. We have to elect a chairman and a vice chairman, and for the commission for the coming year. I'll open the floor to nominations for the chairman. Do I have any nominations?
I nominate Lindsay.
I was going to actually nominate you. Are you staying with us, or are you
Yeah.
retiring
For
from?
vice chairman?
No,
No, for
no,
chairman.
Oh,
no,
I'm sorry.
no, I'm here.
You're here, just checking. I may have misheard.
So are you nominating?
I was
Lindsay?
nominating you for chairman. If we're
Okay.
voting.
Good. Do I have a second that nomination?
I'll second that nomination.
Okay. Do we have any other nominations? Okay. With that, I'll ask our clerk to please do a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Romeo,
Yes.
Commissioner Garrison,
Aye.
Commissioner DeSisto,
Aye.
Commissioner Maston,
Aye.
Commissioner Richter,
Aye.
and Chairman Williams.
I abstain. The motion carries. Thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate that, I think. And now we'll open up the floor to nominations for vice chair, and I would like to nominate Lindsay Maston. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right. Do we have any other nominations for vice chair? Okay, with that, I'll close the floor for nominations. Madam Clerk, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Romeo,
Aye.
Commissioner Garrison,
Aye.
Commissioner DeSisto,
Aye.
Commissioner Maston,
I'll abstain.
Commissioner Richter,
Aye.
Chairman Williams.
Aye. Congratulations, Lindsay, or condolences. For the benefit of our two new members, just a little procedural, which is sort of a little bit unique maybe to us. We let the vice chairman to make all agenda motions for approval or disapproval or whatever we're going to do. Since some of them get a little complicated with their additions, stipulations we're going to make to those motions. So we defer right to I'll defer right to the vice chairman to make those motions. Secondly, if you have any questions of our staff or of our applicants, I will call on each one of you at that point in the same way that when we close the floor for comments on our agenda items. I'll call on each one of you. When we're through that, if one of you have a question, don't hesitate to ask. If you need to come back, I'll be happy to recognize you and we'll do that. So on with the meeting. Informational reports and update, Mr. Director.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Commission. Before we start, can we have everybody please mute your microphone unless you are talking? There's a lot of background noise right now. Looks like everybody is muted. Mr. Lowney, I believe you're the only one with a live mic right now. If you wouldn't mind, please mute yourself.
Yeah, Kevin Lowney, and I'm the one trying to get approval for building a fiveplex on Mingus and 12th Street.
If you could just go ahead and mute yourself for now until we get to that project.
Oh, okay. So what do you want me to do?
Go ahead and mute your microphone.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
And I believe *6 will mute the caller, whoever's present on the phone. *6 will mute and unmute them.
All right. Thank you again, Mr. Chairman, Commission. Good evening. I only got a couple of things right now. And if you didn't watch last week's City Council meeting, City Council went ahead and approved the ordinance to annex the Spring Creek Ranch area, which is out State Route 89A. We did take on some Forest Service lands as well, approximately 11 square miles of Forest Service land, as well as about 280 acres of this private Spring Creek Ranch area. So that was approved by City Council on January 19th and will become effective 30 days after that. They're going to look at a second reading of an ordinance to maintain county zoning of RCU 2A for about 6 months while the city develops a new zone out there. That will be brought to the commission before it goes to City Council. The development of that new zone, the county zoning, does not come to the commission first. That'll go straight to City Council. So you'll be seeing that in upcoming meetings. In case you missed it as well, Circle K opened this past Friday, the new Circle K. So the old one has been closed down. The new one is on the corner there of Mingus and Main Street. It's been a long time coming. If some of you remember who were here a few years ago is when it came through for approval. Also, the Inspiration extension that the commission approved in December went to City Council on January 19th, and they also approved that time extension. This is 190 apartment units off State Route 89A across from the hospital. And I believe that's all I have right now, Mr. Chairman. Oh, you're still muted, sir.
Chairman Williams, you're still muted.
You're still muted.
I'm okay now, right? All right. The next item on our agenda, The next item on our agenda is the call to the public, in which the public can comment on any matter not on our agenda. Do we have anybody from the public who would like to address the commission on any item not on the agenda? Not hearing anybody, we'll go on to old business. We have none. And we're gonna, before we get into new business, Scott, you would like to talk about the email, the city email for city commissioners and elected officials.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Commission. We have Steve Hensel, from our IT department. He's going to go through a little slideshow right now on how to access your city email account. As a commissioner, you do have a city email account set up. Our IT department can provide you with any information that you may need on that. We do need to ensure that all communication happens through your city email account. Moving forward, we're no longer going to use your personal account. All correspondence from staff will go to your city email account only. So it is important that you check it every so often. There's not a lot that we send to you between meetings, but sometimes there is. So whatever habit you want to get into or frequency you want to get into to check it, that's up to you. We will be sending, moving forward with the February meeting, only to your city email account. So if you have any questions after this presentation, or you feel like you need more of a one-on-one on how to do this, go ahead and contact staff. We'll get you in, and we'll make sure you understand how to connect to it. And with that, I'll let Mr. Hensel go through his presentation.
All right, very good.
Hi, I'm Steve Hensel, IT Tech with the City of Cottonwood. Can everybody see the PowerPoint presentation? Okay. I'm going to go through this. This is kind of a short presentation. I'll take questions at the end, and I also have information on how you can contact us and get additional help if you need it. So you might want to have something handy to take notes for this. There are some addresses and information that you possibly want to write down. Or you can, of course, probably take a screenshot of it or use your notepad on your computer. So with that, we're just going to jump in here and we'll get started. If I can get my PowerPoint to change. Okay. The City of Cottonwood uses Microsoft Office 365 for email, or O365 as it's commonly known. So you will access your email online using a web browser. Go Google is recommended. Google Chrome is recommended, but any browser should work for you. And by using webmail, you can access your webmail from anywhere. So anywhere you have computer access, you should be able to access your webmail. So if you would like to use the city email on your phone, then we also have directions and instructions on how to add it to your phone. But you'll have to ask us to email those to you, or we can get those to you later if you'd like. So we're going to jump in here. Step one. So accessing your email using a web browser. So you're going to want to open a web browser. And at the top, you want to type just office.com without the quotes into your address bar. Now you want to make sure you type it into the address bar at the top and not the search bar. So this is the very top address bar, the URL address. It's typically preceded by, you know, the HTTP or HTTPS. But if you just type outlook.com in the top, then it should take you to a page that looks like this. So when you see this website, you'll click sign in at the top. Very clear. The yellow arrow tells you to sign in. So click on the sign in. And now you'll see this screen. It'll prompt you to enter your email address and then click next. So your email address will be your first initial and last name at cottonwoodaz.gov. So example, John Smith at cottonwoodaz.gov. So that's what you would type in there. So we have an email address set up for everyone already. It's already into our system. It's already on the server, and it goes by this character that you use your first initial last name and then at cottonwoodaz.gov. So very simple. Enter that in there. And then you want to enter your password. So your password has already been assigned by the Cottonwood IT department. If you did not receive that password, we can get that to you, but we can't send passwords through email since this is not a secure platform, and it's actually considered open records. So if you need your password, you can either email us with your contact information, or you can try to call us during business hours, usually 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. We can help you after hours too. My phone will ring on that number. My cell phone will ring 24/7 actually on that number. But you can call that number and you can get help with email. So if you don't know your password, then you'll have to call us for your password, or you'll have to give us your contact information so we can get a hold of you and give you that. But you will enter your password in this step. You can also check the box there that says keep me signed in if you're on a computer that you use regularly. If you're on a computer that you own, a computer from home, then that'll help keep you signed in for next time that you log on there. So moving on, next it's going to ask you to choose an account. So you'll actually choose the work or school account and continue. So if you click on that, it will continue on to this screen. It's going to say that more information is required. It's if you've never been on there before, it's going to think it's unsecure. It's going to ask for more information. So on this screen, you'll just click next. And then it's going to ask you to authenticate your account, which you do not need to do. So it's very important that you actually go to the bottom where the yellow arrow is and tell it skip setup here. So do not click on next on this screen. You want to click skip setup. We do not need authentication on this right now. We're not using two-factor authentication currently. It will then ask you if you want to stay signed in. So again, if you're on a PC or a computer that you own, that you regularly use, or a laptop, then you can click yes here. You can also click do not show this again. And it shouldn't bother you with this screen again. But only do this if you're on your own computer. So you can tell it stay signed in. The next time you come in here, it'll hopefully remember your information with the cookies on your computer. Okay, so once you click next on that screen, it's possible that the previous screen is going to pop up again. And it's going to show the setup at the bottom again. So the screen on the left side might show up again. Again, you click next. If the authenticator screen shows up, again, you want to skip that setup and just keep moving on. When you move on, it'll eventually bring you here. You should see this online email. So this is the online Office 365 email. It looks just like a regular email client. You have your inbox on the left, all your folders, and all your information. The way that it views for you might be a little different. You can change the settings here. There's lots of information, but again, this is going to be your basic email clients or your client platform with your email showing up on the left and the reading platform on the right. So if I was actually live in here and I clicked on Jamie's email here, the email would show up on the right-hand pane for me. So, but again, this is just a screenshot, a demo of what the email looks like or what the platform looks like. You can now use this as your regular email. When you're done, please be sure to sign out from the account management on the right side. So if you click up on the right side where the arrow is and drop that down, you'll be able to sign out. This is especially important if you access your email from a different computer, like a friend's house, a hotel, motel, a public computer, something like that. Please be sure to sign out of the account so that no one can get in there and do malicious things on your account. Down at the bottom, if you click on that calendar, it'll take you to your online calendar where you can see meeting invites, see dates, set dates, and use it just like your regular online calendar. So after signing in, you can bookmark the address to make it easier. So the address that I gave you, the outlook.com, once you get that all saved, you can bookmark that address once you're in your email. It'll make it easier to access for you next time. I ask that everyone please be diligent and practice safe computing. Be careful opening any suspicious emails or attachments. And a good antivirus and anti-malware app is recommended. There are several free ones out there. If you need advice on those, I can certainly give you more information or send you information on those. AVG is a good anti-malware, anti-spyware, antivirus. It's recommended. You will get pop-ups with that wanting you to buy it, but it is free for home use. Please also keep in mind that email is not considered a secure communication and that all emails for the city fall under the open records law. So these are technically open records. So anything you say in there could possibly be seen or viewed by someone else or requested to be seen or viewed. So that's why we don't send passwords over email. As Scott said, all city communications concerning official business must be conducted using the city email address. We can send these instructions to your personal email. So I have this PowerPoint and I have these instructions written up. So I can send those to your personal email if you need additional help or if you need a reminder. We can usually help you over the phone. If you give us a call on the number that I gave you earlier, we can usually walk you through this, or I can certainly remotely log into your PC and be able to help you that way too. So one last thing here, the Yavapai Library Network has some very excellent free online classes on how to use email and Microsoft Office. So they're virtual classes just over the computer. You can do them at your own pace. You can stop and start them at any time. So that's a resource that I always encourage people to make use of and use. So if you need some additional computer instruction, that's a really good resource for it. So with that, I can go back over the slides, or I can take questions if anybody has questions for right now.
Steve, Bob Williams.
Yes, sir.
You had sent out an email to us sometime back about switching to a new program, and it was Outlook, I think .com/live.com or something like that. And I had real problems with that on my Android or Chromebook here, and I finally got it up on my PC. But it looks like now you just want Outlook.com and go right just directly to that, and it'll bring up the sign-in screen at that point.
Yes. Now that Outlook.com that I told you to enter into your top address bar, that's actually going to switch to you. So when you go to that sign-in screen, and you look at the top address bar, it's going to be different. It will no longer say Outlook.com. It will actually say the Office365.com, and it will be a different URL. But the Outlook.com is just a very quick, short way to remember how to get to it.
Okay, very good. And I think it would be a good idea if you would email to our personal accounts your presentation as you talked about, just so we have it on file, that in case we have some more problems with that. Anybody else have any questions at this point?
And I know a lot of you already are set up and already using this. Your passwords are in there. If you're a new member, don't have your password already, again, you can call me for it. Or I believe they might have given you an information packet with your password on it as well. But again, the password's no big deal. We can get you set up, and I can also change that to a password of your choosing, if that's easier for you to remember as well. So.
Very good. Again, any questions? If not, Steve, thank you very much. This is big.
So yeah, just one last thing. Please don't hesitate to get a hold of us. We are here to help. We eat, breathe, and sleep IT stuff. We actually like it. I know, as crazy as that sounds, but we are glad to help. We want to hear from you instead of people sitting there and struggling and not getting the information that they need. So.
Very good. Thank you very much, Steve. We appreciate you coming to us tonight, and we'll do our best. It's been a struggle up till now, so we'll try to do better and get this down. All right. Onward into new business. Our first order of new business is DR 20009 for design review of the Lowney Apartments. This is for a 5-unit apartment building at 1214 East Mingus Avenue. Scott, or who's going to take this? Jim?
Jim will be doing this one.
Okay, Jim Paget, the floor is yours, sir.
Okay, I'm just getting my, are you able to see the screen and see it move?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Just wanted to check on that first.
We're seeing your internal view, though, not the presentation.
Okay.
It'll be, go to the slideshow.
I think it's okay.
From the beginning. There you go. And then
okay.
Change the setting there.
Thank you. As you stated, this is a design review application. It is for a 5-unit apartment complex at the northwest corner of 12th Street, North 12th Street and Mingus Avenue. Current zoning is R3, which is multiple family residential. And it is would be a 2-story complex. There would be a 1-way driveway accessing from Main Street onto the alley, driving in front of the apartments. 10 parking spaces are required for the 5 units, and there are 10 shown on the site plan. This is a copy of the site plan showing the access from Mingus heading north to the alley. This is a copy of the landscape plan. The landscape, as you're showing it here, is within the property line. There was a recent text amendment that would allow the landscaping to be measured from the back of the sidewalk if curb, gutter, and sidewalk is required. In this situation, curb, gutter, sidewalk is required. So this landscape plan, as you see it, would have the possibility, should the applicant desire, to move that landscaping a little bit to the west, and it would be measured 10 feet from the back of the sidewalk. That basically just would give a little bit additional area for the driveway and the parking spaces. I know there is some discussion over the engineering requirement for that curb, gutter, and sidewalk. At the present time, that is a requirement from the engineering, a standard that is applied to all properties. This is an architectural perspective showing what it would look like from facing 12th Street. And this is an architectural perspective as you would see it from Mingus, the side of it from Mingus Avenue. Some of this, this is what the site presently looks like, a vacant lot. And this is looking north to the rear of some of the adjacent properties across the alley. The property to the east is also zoned multifamily residential. However, it is presently used as a single family residence. Property to the south is across Mingus Avenue, and that is vacant. And there's the property to the north once again. The property to the west is the House of Ruth across 12th Street. This is a street view looking north. The subject property is to the right. And this is looking west along Mingus and looking east along Mingus. So that concludes what I have to say, Chairman Williams. So should you have any questions of me or staff?
Yes, the question that I have is regarding the requirement, the city code requirement for a sidewalk, curb and gutter extended along 12th Street, which is not shown on the plan. Your recommended stipulations are a little bit confusing. In the number 1 says is reviewed here and stipulated, and there's no other reference other than code review in a generality. Should we add a stipulation just to make sure it's covered for the installation of the sidewalk, curb, and gutter as per city ordinance?
Okay. We did submit something that said the site plan be submitted for review and approval by staff that identifies all required off-site improvements and any modifications to the site plan to include landscape and parking improvements.
How about sidewalk? Can we just add that maybe to that stipulation?
If you'd like to add that to that stipulation, sure.
Can I comment?
Yes, who's talking?
Yeah, this is Kevin Lowney, the developer.
No,
I'm fine
sir,
with, go ahead.
Yes,
Can I say, I'm fine with putting in the curb, gutter, and sidewalk.
Okay, good. Okay, Commissioner Richter, do you have any questions, technical questions of Jim?
No, thank you.
Mr. DeSisto? Questions of Jim?
No questions, Commissioner.
Commissioner Romeo, any questions of Jim?
No questions.
Commissioner Garrison, do you have any questions of Jim?
Yeah, I've got a couple. Thank you, Chairman. one of the things I noticed was the original cover sheet called for 10 parking spaces, and there's only 8. Kind of wondering where the other 2 are. Also, if you look at the pictures, this lot is being used heavily by the staff from Care Bears, and I'm kind of wondering if this sidewalk and curb and gutter gets installed, which it sounds like the developer's willing to do, which is great. I'm wondering where those people are going to park, and if there's any plans to deal with them parking on the street, because that's a heavily traveled street anyway, and having all those extra cars on the street will make it a little more dangerous, especially with all the kids there for the care center. Also, is there any requirement for the, I saw in there that that the engineer had made the claim that the parking wasn't going to be required to be paved, and it was going to be gravel, which is a little distressing. So hopefully that'll get addressed. And also, that alley is dirt, and I'm wondering if there's any plans to modify or upgrade that alley at least as far back as the driveway, because that's going to be a lot of traffic that's going to be utilizing that alleyway, and if it's dirt, it's going to cause a real problem for the neighborhood. Those are my only comments at the moment.
Okay.
If I can comment, the other 2 parking spots are at the end of the building on the alley side. It's my intent to fully pave the parking lot, and if you guys would like, I'll pave from the edge of the parking lot out the alley so that the people renting these apartments will always be on asphalt.
Awesome, thank you.
Because I don't want to do a chip seal gravel parking lot. I think you see that I'm trying to build a nicer building than a bare minimum box. I want to have a nice, and I plan to furnish the inside nicer than bare minimum.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Vice Chairman Maston, do you have any further questions?
Honestly, Commissioner Garrison answered or asked my primary question, which was about the paving. And I don't have any more for Jim.
Right.
I do have more for the applicant.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. So at this point, Ms. Lowry, you would address the commission again, if you reiterate your comments to us regarding the sidewalk, the paving, and the alley, we would appreciate that. Any other information you'd like to give to us at this point, and we'll have some questions possibly of you, okay?
Chairman, real quick, I didn't get an answer on my parking on 12th Street question.
Okay, let's talk to Mr. Director. I don't know if you have an answer for that. It doesn't seem to be the responsibility of us, or if those people are parking on that lot, I guess with or without permission at this point.
No, my question was, how are we going to deal with them parking on the street? That was my question.
Okay, yeah, that could be a real problem. I can see that. But again, is that part of our purview for this discussion, Mr. Director?
Mr. Chairman, Commission, not necessarily, unless there's an actual shared parking agreement or off-site parking agreement, which we didn't find any record of, then the responsibility falls back on the business who is lacking parking. We can definitely go out there and see what's going on, see what it looks like, maybe talk to that daycare center and try to address and find any options that may be viable.
Once again, that's not my question. My question is are we doing anything, or do we have any plans to address parking on the street once this curb and gutter and sidewalk gets installed?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, it's and that's probably something that going to do with city engineering or whatever. I don't know what parking restrictions on that street is really narrow, and we certainly don't want to cause any problems, but we do need to get the sidewalk, curb and gutter installed. Okay, Mr. Lowry, I'm sorry. We'll go back to you, sir.
Okay, so you want me to reiterate, I'm willing to install the curb, gutter, and sidewalk, and it is my plan to pave the entire parking lot. And if you would like, the portion of the alley that we will be driving on.
Okay, yes, I think we would. We'll probably request the Vice Chairman to include that in stipulation number 4. We can just add on just to make sure we're covered with those 2 items we haven't discussed before. The question I have, sir, your rendering shows a pretty garish blue and red doors. Looking at your color samples, it seems to be much more muted. Would you like to talk to us about that a little bit?
I think that may be, as far as the rendering goes, that's kind of the colors that the gentleman doing the graphics had at his, in his palette. The blue is, more muted, and I'm open I'm open to suggestions on it. I'm not married to those colors, so.
Okay. Any other
picked by the architect, so if you want to see a little bit more of a gray color, that's a little more gray blue. That seems to be a current color these days. So.
Okay, we'll discuss that with the commissioners. Maybe they can ask some further questions. Do you have anything else to talk to us about this project? Any that we haven't discussed up to this point?
No, I just wanted to get feedback on the building and the parking and landscaping, and make sure we're moving forward with the design.
Very fine, sir. Okay, Commissioner Richter, do you have any questions of the applicant?
Not at this time.
Commissioner DeSisto, do you have any questions of the applicant?
Not at this time.
Okay, Commissioner Romeo, do you have any questions of the applicant?
No questions at this time.
Okay, Commissioner Garrison, do you have any other further questions of the applicant?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. And I'm not sure, I think this would be both for the staff as well as the applicant. If I heard the presentation correctly, once this sidewalk, curb and gutter gets installed, he gets to move his landscaping. It looks like 20 feet to the west, which would give quite a bit more additional parking area. Is that a plan?
He would be required to pave even the right-of-way area, which the 10-foot would be measured within the right-of-way. If he was not required to have curb, gutter, and sidewalk, and it was just an open street, the landscaping has to be measured from within the property line. So, and he is still responsible for the maintenance of the area that would be in the right-of-way. So either way, he's responsible for the maintenance of the landscaping for his required 10-foot strip, as well as the right-of-way area out to the edge of where the edge of the sidewalk would be.
No, I guess I'm stating it wrong. It sounds like he gets to move his landscaping approximately 20 feet west from where it shows on the current plans. If he installs, which he says he's going to do, the curb, gutter, and sidewalk. So my question, I guess, is to staff, is that allowed? Is he allowed to move that landscaping as what I thought I heard? And also, is the applicant, the developer, expecting to do that?
Yes, he is. He would be allowed to do that as long as curb, gutter, and sidewalk goes in. The 10 feet would be measured from the back of the sidewalk. And that gives him that additional area on site should he need to add additional landscaping, changes parking lot configuration if necessary. It would give him a little additional flexibility.
So Jim, if I'm understanding it correctly, I would have additional, the amount of footage that the sidewalk is. So if it's a 5-foot sidewalk, I'll have 5 additional feet.
Well, it would be from the back of the sidewalk. So you'd be 10 feet from the back of the sidewalk towards your building, towards your parking
That I
area.
have to landscape and maintain.
That
Right.
would be your 10-foot buffer area,
Okay.
correct?
Okay.
That's correct.
That would give the developer another, looks like the scale's off on this photograph, but looking at the cars that are parked there, it looks like it'd give him at least another 15 feet of area, which he could include into his parking area, which would open that space up between the parking and the housing, which I think would be advantageous.
Yes. It gives them the flexibility on either side of the driveway, whether it be right adjacent to the building or out in front of where the cars would be parking.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Vice Chairman Maston, questions of the applicant.
Yes, just finishing that conversation, Mr. Lowney, do you think that you would be pursuing either of those options just so that the commission knows?
Either of the options of widening the parking lot?
Yeah.
I think I would try to pull the parking lot a little bit further away from the building so that maybe there could be some landscaping in front of the building. And then possibly have a wider parking lot. This is kind of new to me, so I am just now understanding this. So if we need more room in the parking lot to comfortably move around, I would make the parking lot a little bit bigger, and then, then possibly some more landscaping.
Mm-hmm. I would highly recommend it. And then I just have a couple more questions for you. The first one is, so when I look at this site, I'm sure you're well aware that the alley right now is, there's not a visual fence. There's a chain link fence. And I see in your plan, I think you do have some fencing going in, but it's also chain.
I don't have any plans for, I don't have any plans for any fencing.
No.
There's a wood fence between me and the residents on, I guess that'd be the east side. Yeah.
Yes. I'm more concerned with the north side, and I don't necessarily think you need a fence, especially if you're going to pave that area, but it's very exposed for those houses. And what's going to become almost an extension of your parking lot. I realize your landscape plan isn't completely finalized yet, but I just wanted to know if you had any plans there. And I wanted to suggest that, this would be up to your architect, but something in the way of landscaping to just kind of give yourself a little bit of a visual buffer between those units. Is it a house? It's hard for me to see what that is.
Duplexes.
Yeah, because those are just dirt backyards right now. I'm on Google Earth looking at this. And I think that your residents would benefit and the city would benefit from having that be more attractive. And I know you're trying to elevate the area.
So how do you suggest making it more attractive?
Well, landscaping can cover a lot of sin. I think that if you're paving, so you've agreed to pave that area, and I haven't looked at the code or anything for this. I'm literally just throwing spaghetti against the wall. So please, city, correct me. I believe that you could leave areas for some plants to come up or something like that, or even just on your side, if you're making the parking lot bigger, maybe just have some landscaping just next to the building, just even at the corner so there's a tree, just anything to add some greenery so there's a little bit more of a visual break between you and those backyards.
Okay, well, I mean, we can certainly look into it. I mean, yeah, ideally it would be like a hedge along their chain link fence, but then that would be in the alley.
Yes.
Which would be off of my property.
It's a little bit tricky. I'm basically bringing it up just to get you thinking about it.
Okay.
And then my next question is, so I'm not seeing anything about drainage, and you guys, there's a pretty significant change in elevation on the south side. And I'm a little worried about you guys getting puddles and stuff in there.
Well,
is there a plan for that?
Yeah, we'll address that in the drainage study and the building, on the building permit set, but where that lot is probably going to need a little bit of fill.
Okay.
But we'll certainly have positive drainage. I'm not going to, have my building get flooded.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, those are my main two questions. And for what it's worth, I like the blue. Okay.
Very fine. Is there anybody online from the public who would like to address the commission on this project? Not hearing anybody, I'm going to close the floor to the public. And now for comments from each commissioner regarding their thoughts on this project, and then we'll move to a vote. First, Commissioner Richter, your comments, sir.
Sorry, it took me a while to get unmuted there. I think that it's great. I've looked at this building, I don't know how many years, or this lot for I don't know how many years. I think it's great. No other questions.
Mr.
Real time.
Mr. Chairman,
excuse me.
If I could real quick, just to confirm and kind of address Vice Chair Maston's thought on the drainage. As part of the code review comments, when this went to code review, the engineering department, Public Works, did require a drainage study be submitted. So that should address any of those drainage concerns on there.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis.
Very good. Commissioner DeSisto, your comments, sir.
I think this is a great project for that corner. It takes care of that lot, as well as taking care of the needs of the community for apartments. So I definitely agree with this. I think it's a great idea. Thank you.
Very good. Mr. Romeo, ma'am, your comments, please.
I think it's a wonderful project. I think it's visually appealing. I think it's really going to pop and elevate that area. So I think it's a wonderful project.
Very good. Commissioner Garrison, sir.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to this lot getting developed. It's been an eyesore, so to say, for so long, and it had been kept clean, but for the most part, it was just used as a fill area for everybody in the neighborhood to utilize as they wish. So I'm really glad to see it getting developed. I like that you're taking the building down to lessen the view from the street, at least from Mingus Avenue. That'll be really good for the area. I'm really happy that you're having an expectation of doing things above and beyond. That's really nice. I was expecting to get a little bit of a fight over the gravel parking lot. So thank you for taking that on. And I guess the only thing left for me is really I would like to see staff take a good hard look at what they're going to deal with as far as parking goes on 12th Street, because as I said before, once that curb and gutter gets installed, it's going to make that street extremely narrow if that staff continues to park there.
Very good. Thank you. Vice Chairman Maston, your comments, ma'am.
Running theme, I am very much encouraged by having more housing come in. I'm always excited about it. Yay, more housing. And I'm also really appreciative of the thought that's gone into the curb appeal for this particular project. So I guess I just add my voice to the choir.
Very good. I would agree. This is going to be a great little infill project again, and give more housing, which is good. We can always use more housing, particularly affordable housing like apartments at this point in time for our working folks. And I'm very happy with the additions and things we talked about tonight with the parking lot and landscaping and so forth in the alleyway. I think that's really important. Vice Chairman, you might want to, in the stipulations, number 4, we might want to add about sidewalk, curb and gutter, and also about the paving of the alley would be good. So with that, I'm going, if you would please, I would entertain a motion.
I second.
No, I want you to make the motion with the
sorry.
stipulation. I'm sorry.
I'm not used to being vice chair yet.
I know, yes. Now you get the envious duty of doing this every time.
Yeah. So I would like to make a motion. I move to approve DR 20-009 for a 5-unit apartment building to be constructed at 1214 East Mingus Avenue, subject to the following stipulations. 1, that the project is developed in conformance with the site plan submitted with this application as reviewed and stipulated by the Planning and Zoning Commission on January 25th, 2021. 2, that the project shall comply with Code Review Board requirements dated March 18, 2020. 3, that the project complies with all building, engineering, and fire department requirements. 4, that a site plan be submitted for review and approved by staff that identifies all required off-site improvements and any modifications to the site plan to include landscape, sidewalk, curb and gutter, parking improvements, and including paving of the adjacent alley off of 12th Street. 5, a certificate of zoning compliance documenting the completion of conditions shall be issued within 24 months from the date of this approval.
Very fine. Do I have a second to the Vice Chairman's motion?
I second it.
Mr. DeSisto seconds the Vice Chairman's motion. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Romeo?
Aye.
Commissioner Garrison?
Aye.
Commissioner DeSisto?
Aye.
Commissioner Richter?
Aye.
Vice Chairman Maston?
Aye.
Chairman Williams?
Aye. Very good. Good luck, Mr. Lowry. We appreciate it. Looking forward to your project coming out of the ground.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Our next item on the agenda is conditional use permit 20-012 spa and stay for conditional use permit for residential unit at 1765 East Via Drive in Cottonwood. Jim, is that yours, Jim?
Yes, it is. Thank you, Chairman Williams. As you stated, this is a conditional use permit, a request for a residential use in a commercial zone. Subject site is on Villa Drive in between Main Street and Cove Parkway. Commercial, it is C1, which is a light commercial zoning. The applicant is requesting to modify an existing commercial unit into a residential unit to allow for overnight spa packages. The conditional use permit, as I stated, is required for any residential use in a commercial zone. Additional parking spaces are not required on this site since it is currently being used as a commercial use with a higher parking standard or requirement. And there is adequate parking for both this modification from commercial to residential in addition to the existing business. This is a copy of the site plan. You can see off of Villa Drive, a few parking spaces, a couple parallel and a few free up close to the building. This section right here is the proposed portion. Currently, commercial would be converted to residential use. This is the existing floor plan as you see it. This section right here is the conversion portion. And after floor plan that showed how a conceptual layout for how the building could, the residential portion of it would be laid out. It's an existing, a picture of the building from a street view and from an internal parking lot view. And that portion sticking out there, jutting out, would be the portion to be converted. Property to the west is also a commercial office building. Property to the east is currently vacant, and you can see Villa Drive running on the other side of that vacant parcel. This is across Villa Drive, directly across from the subject site. And looking east on Villa Drive and looking west on Villa Drive. So that concludes what I have to say. Should you have any questions?
Okay, we'll go down the line here, and Commissioner DeSisto, do you have any questions of Jim?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Yes.
Is this for like one apartment? Is that that part of the building that's sticking out? Is that just going to be one apartment or one site where visitors could stay?
Yes, it would just be one site where the visitors would stay, and then the spa business is the remainder of the building. So it would be only one residential unit. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. I guess all the fire codes and codes are already in place, or are they going to be addressed at a later time?
The building is currently sprinklered, so that was a benefit on the applicant's behalf. If it had not been sprinklered, it would have been a requirement, but the building is new enough and it is sprinklered. One of the requirements would be to have the fire department come in there just to make sure that any modifications that they did, if they have to have a change of spacing of the sprinklers or any minor modifications, a fire department inspection is a requirement.
Okay, I think that's all the questions I have for now. We'll probably wait until the fire department, inspects the site, because we've run into this in the past where the fire commissioner, the fire marshal did not approve additional apartments. So I think right now that's all I have.
The applicant did go through code review board, and the fire department does sit in on those meetings and gave their requirements to the applicant at that time.
Thank you.
Mr. Richter, do you have any technical questions of Jim?
Would this make them eligible to actually rent this out? Does it need to be part of the building, a short-term stay of whatever that may be, less than a week or a few days as part of the business?
The residential use could, I believe it's the applicant's intent for short term for her clients to stay there, the way the state law does read now. If it was used as a short-term rental, the city does not have jurisdiction over that.
That's just what I was curious. If this opens the door to that, for it to actually just be used as a rental on its own, separate from the business completely, or the applicant to live there instead.
The applicant would have the option to go either way with that.
Okay, that's all my questions.
Commissioner Romeo, do you have any questions of Jim?
I do have one question in terms of exterior lighting and how that would be assessed as part of, I'm assuming it's part of the process.
When the applicant would submit their construction drawings for the modifications that they're making, one of the requirements that we do have is a lighting package. So they would have to show any lighting that would be attached onto the building. And we have a new dark sky ordinance in place in the last 18 months or so. We just approved that. So we would be reviewing the lighting that they're putting on the exterior of the building, yes.
Okay, no other questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Garrison, do you have any questions of Jim?
Yeah, a couple. And I was looking over the plans, and it looks like the exterior eaves already have can lighting in them. I can't imagine that the applicant would be changing that at all, but maybe she will. I really like what this is doing. Keep in mind that the building right across the street on Via also had livable spaces at one point in time. So this is kind of bringing that back in. I think it's a great thinking outside the box idea on how to use the space efficiently. So I really appreciate the effort that they're going to make this work. The one question I have is the door, the ingress egress door for this apartment. It shows opening outward. Is that wrong? Shouldn't that be opening inward? And I'm really, if not, I'm really a little nervous that both those doors are opening into the same space. And if there is an issue at that facility, they look to be overlapping. So I guess that's my question for staff.
I see where you're talking about there. I think that would be something, they do have to get a building permit for this. This would be reviewed by the building department. And hopefully that would be something that they would catch the direction of the door swinging.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Vice Chairman, do you have any questions of Jim?
I think that my only question is for the applicant. I think I'm
All
good.
right. Very good. Jim, I don't have any questions.
We do have the applicant. The applicant is with us tonight, Amber Brandt, and also Amy Morales, who has worked with her on drawing up these plans. So they are here and available this evening.
Okay. Would you all like to further enlighten us about this project other than what hasn't been covered? Please.
Hi, I'm Amber Brandt. I'm the owner of the building here that and the spa that goes along with it. As far as the exterior lighting that you had mentioned, yeah, we wouldn't be changing any of that. It does have can lights, and we have them on automatic. They come on automatically when you walk underneath them, so that awning is going to be staying in place. As far as the door swing, they do both swing out together. So if we needed to put a new door in and swing it in, that's perfectly fine. I'm happy to do that. And I think that was all of the questions or concerns that I had heard so far.
Very fine. Thank you very much. Is there anybody from the public who would like to address the commission? Not hearing anybody, I'm going to close the floor to the public. And
I apologize. There was one more thing that you guys had mentioned, the fire department. The fire department was nice enough to come out and do an initial walkthrough and said that everything as far as the sprinkler heads and where they were placed, that it was perfectly fine as it was. even anticipating showing them what we were going to do and the changes that we were going to make. So he was fine with all of that. He did notice that there was one sprinkler specifically that had some paint inside of it that needed to be replaced. And we actually had that replaced this morning.
Okay, stay tuned, Amber. Commissioner DeSisto, you have any questions of Amber?
No, I don't. I'm glad that she addressed the fire department issue. I have no further questions. Thank you, Amber.
Thank you.
Commissioner Richter, questions of the applicant?
No more questions. I hope it brings you more business.
Thank you.
Good idea.
Commissioner Romeo, questions?
No questions at this time.
Okay. Commissioner Garrison, do you have any further questions of the applicant?
No, sir. Thank you very much.
Very good. Vice Chairman Maston, do you have any questions of the applicant?
Yeah. Just one. Do you plan on changing the signage?
So currently there's only a sign on the actual building itself. I do plan on eventually going out and trying to get a monument sign put out at the street level, which I'll have to then apply for that.
Come back for a permit.
Yes.
All right, that's fine.
Thank you.
Very good. Okay, now, is anybody in the public? We already addressed that. Don't hear anybody. Now I will close the floor to the public for comment from each commissioner. Amber, if you would mute your microphone, I would appreciate that. Commissioner DeSisto, your comments, please.
I have no further comments. I hope it's very successful for you moving forward. Thank you.
Commissioner Richter, questions or comments? I'm sorry, sir.
No, just good luck to you.
Okay. Commissioner Romeo, comments on this project?
I think it's a great use of otherwise commercial space that may remain vacant at this time, so best of luck.
Good. Commissioner Garrison.
Yeah, I'll diddle that. I think it's a great use of the space. I hope she's wildly successful with it, and I'm anxious to see if the short term works out or if it ends up becoming longer term. But either way, I think I'm anxious to see how this goes. So thank you very much.
Vice Chairman Masden.
I think it's great to see more live work in Cottonwood, and I also think that this is sort of a best possible scenario for Airbnb rather than taking a, regular housing. You're converting a space like this. So I hope it goes really well.
I would second that, those comments. This would be a very appropriate use in there, and hopefully will enhance your business going forward. Vice Chairman, I would entertain a motion, please.
Okay. I move to approve CUP 20-012 to allow AB Spa and Stay to convert an existing commercial unit into a residential unit, subject to the following stipulations. 1, that the project is developed in conformance with the conditional use permit submitted for the Planning Commission meeting on January 25th, 2021. 2, the project shall comply with Code Review Board requirements dated December 8, 2020. 3, that the project complies with all building, engineering, and fire department requirements. 4, a certificate of zoning compliance documenting the completion of conditions shall be issued within 12 months from the date of this approval. 5, the City of Cottonwood reserves the right to revoke the conditional use permit if the use creates an irremediable public safety problems as determined by the city.
Do I have a second to the Vice Chairman's motion?
I'll second that.
I'll second that.
Okay, who was first? Commissioner Romeo, did you second that?
Yeah.
Yes, Commissioner Romeo, second the Vice Chairman's motion. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Romeo?
Aye.
Commissioner Garrison?
Aye.
Commissioner DeSisto?
Aye.
Commissioner Richter,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Maston,
Aye.
Chairman Williams.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, Amber, good luck. And we'll go on to our next item of business, which is another conditional use permit 04003 for the Fire Creek Restaurant, actually dividing a current residential unit into two separate residential units at 677 East Mingus Avenue. James, I think you're on board with this too, sir.
Yes, I am. Thank you. This is another similar project, a residential use in a commercial zone. In this situation, the subject site is on top of, currently it's the Fire Creek Restaurant. For many years it was known as Girona. The zoning is C1, which is like commercial. And the site's presently developed, as I said, with a restaurant. And there's currently one single residential unit on the second level. This proposed plan would divide that existing unit into two separate individual units. The one unit that is there currently did receive a conditional use permit for that residential use in 2004 and has been operating as a residential use since that time. 4 parking spaces would be required for that residential use. And we just ask that those 4 spaces be identified and marked separately from the general use of the restaurant parking area. Subject site, this is Mingus. And you would enter from Mingus, drive past the building, and the parking is back in this general area. The existing floor plan just shows entering. This is from the rear of the building coming in, and there is one large self-contained apartment there. So that is presently what exists. The revised plan would still have the entrance coming in from the same area outside, walking into a little foyer lobby area. Would go into one unit just to the left, and straight ahead would enter the second larger unit. So there would be no additional square footage, no additional areas provided, just going from one large unit to 2 smaller units. This is the picture of the front of the building as it currently exists, and this is to the rear of the building. The entrance to the 2 apartments is right up here in the center of that building, and this is where the parking is provided in the back, and also off screen to the right there is additional parking. The side of this building is property adjacent to the east. This is a vacant lot, which is behind, and a parcel to the south. And that parcel is also zone C1. Across Mingus Avenue is the post office. Property to the west is a medical facility, a dental facility, and some city municipal buildings. This is a street view looking to the west from right in front of the subject site, and looking to the east along Mingus. So that concludes what I have to say. I do see Michelle Malkin is the applicant, and she is here and would be available for any questions. But first, do you have any questions of staff?
Hey, I don't have any questions. Commissioner Richter, do you have any questions of staff?
No, I don't.
Commissioner DeSisto, do you have any questions of staff?
No, I don't.
Commissioner Romeo, do you have any questions of staff?
No, sir.
Commissioner Garrison, do you have any questions of staff?
No, sir. Thank you.
Vice Chairman Maston, do you have any questions of staff?
Yes, I do. Mr. Paget, when you had your, it was a couple screens back, the plan, I think it showed proposed garage. On our plans that we received in the binder, it just says garage. Is that existing or is that new?
That is an existing, where it says future, that was a plan off the original site plan when they got approval. That garage is constructed at the present time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, the applicant is here. If we could talk to her, please. Any additional comments you'd like to make about this project?
Good evening, everyone. This is Michelle Malkin. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. I think the only thing that I would like to say is thank you for the opportunity to look at this. You know, the site has been in its current state since I purchased the building about 5 years ago. And thinking it through, that large apartment that is upstairs would certainly be a great site for an additional apartment with the housing situation we have in Cottonwood. We feel like it would really serve well the community to be able to have a split apartment versus the very large one that's up there today. The majority of what's there, actually all of it, was approved back when we built the building, and I think the only changes we would need to make is to ensure that the parking for those 4 spots was taken care of. The current builder for the site is C&B Construction, and they did construct the building back when it was constructed in 2004. So they will also be making the modifications to that. And I think Bill Bullock is on the phone as well if there are any specific questions to the site plan or any of those changes.
I am here.
Okay, good. Thank you, Bill. Good to have you here with us. Commissioner Richter, do you have any questions of the applicant or the contractor?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Commissioner DeSisto, do you have any questions of the applicant or their contractor?
No, not at this time.
Okay. Commissioner Romeo, do you have any questions of the applicant or their contractor?
No, sir.
Okay. Commissioner Garrison, do you have any questions to the applicant or the contractor?
No, sir. Thank you.
Vice Chair Maston, do you have any questions of the contractor or owner?
No, not this time.
Okay. I don't either. I think it's pretty well covered. Is there anybody in the public? Do we have anybody on board that would like to address this project other than the applicant? Not hearing anybody. We'll close the floor to the public. And Commissioner Richter, your comments on this project, please, sir.
No comments other than, I hope that it works out.
Very good. Commissioner DeSisto, your comments.
No comments at this time, other than it sure adds to our housing needs here in Cottonwood, but I hope it all works out fine.
Commissioner Romeo, your comments, please.
I echo the housing comment, and especially in such a central area, and welcome this project. So best of luck.
Good. Commissioner Garrison, your comments, please.
I just think it's a great use of existing residential space and anxious to see how it works out. So good luck to the applicant.
Vice Chair Maston.
Thank you.
Same as everyone. This should go well. Best of luck.
Good.
Thank you.
Yes, good. My comment is the same as the previous project. This is a good, reuse of the property, and every single housing unit we can get of affordable housing is a very welcome sight to us. With that, Vice Chairman, I will entertain a motion, please.
I move to approve CUP 04-033 MOD to allow the Fire Creek Restaurant to divide the one existing unit into two separate residential units, subject to the following stipulations. 1, that the project is developed in conformance with the plans submitted for the conditional use permit modification application submitted for the Planning Commission meeting on January 25th, 2021. 2, the project shall comply with Code Review Board requirements dated January 5th, 2021. 3, that the project complies with all building, engineering, and fire department requirements. 4, identify 4 required parking spaces for the residential use separately from the common parking provided for the restaurant. 5, a certificate of zoning compliance documenting the completion of conditions shall be issued within 12 months from the date of this approval. 6, the City of Cottonwood reserves the right to revoke the conditional use permit if the use creates an irremediable public safety problem as determined by the city.
Do I have a second to the Vice Chairman's motion?
I second it.
Mr. DeSisto seconds the Vice Chair's motion. A roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Romeo?
Aye.
Commissioner Garrison?
Aye.
Commissioner DeSisto?
Aye.
Commissioner Richter?
Aye.
Vice Chairman Maston?
Aye.
Chairman Williams?
Aye. Motion carried unanimously. Good luck, Michelle and Bill, and to get that project up and going. All right.
Thank you so much.
That concludes our new business. And we have a couple discussion items that Scott, I guess that will turn the meeting over to you, and to discuss the Commission Handbook and the required findings for conditional use permits.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commission. Just a couple things to go over. As a commissioner, when you were appointed, you should have received Commissioner Handbook. If you don't have one, please let us know. It just has information on what it is to be a commissioner, some open meeting requirements, various things like that. It's a good thing to read, become familiar with, to be on the commission. So if you have any questions with that, let us know. If you did not get one, please let us know. We'll make sure you have a copy of it. I believe Commissioner Garrison and Romeo should have gotten one when they picked up their packets. If not, again, let us know. Any of the other commissioners that have been on for a little while, you should have gotten one as well. If you have any questions on it, just please let us know and we can go over anything like that. So.
Okay, and the required findings for conditional use permits, sir.
Yes, so as you've noticed in the staff reports, we put in there required findings for conditional use permits. And it's just good to, since we have newer commissioners on here, to reiterate that within our zoning ordinance for conditional use permits, Article 3 procedures, the commission must address these required findings and make sure that they're met. Some of them, and I'll read them off. General findings, so the location, the size, design, and operational characteristics of the use are not detrimental to the health, safety, or welfare of the surrounding properties or occupants, and not substantially or permanently injurious to neighboring properties. With that, it then goes into the compatibility with surrounding uses, the use needs to be compatible with surrounding uses in the vicinity. So that way you're not having one extreme outlier use compared to what's around it. Examples of that might be putting a, not to pick on any specific industry, putting a auto repair shop in a residential neighborhood or right on the edge of a residential neighborhood or anything like that. So that's one thing that's definitely looked at. Traffic and circulation is another thing, and there was some questions from Commissioner Garrison earlier on one of the projects. This is exactly what gets addressed in that. So it's good that he had those questions, because that is one of the findings that the commission as a whole should look at when approving these conditional use permits. Infrastructure is another thing, roads, parking, drainage, water and sewer systems, as well as nuisance activities. These are making sure that there's no negative impacts on surrounding properties from smoke, vapors, odors, vibrations, fire hazards, anything like that. And then the last thing is buffering and screening. So is the use going to have a sufficient buffer from its neighboring use that may not be exactly the same, or where you might have, let's say, a multifamily residential next to manufacturing. So making sure that that buffering and screening is there. As staff, we'll put it in the staff report for the commission to view. Before it even gets to you, we will address all of these to ensure that it meets the codes and those requirements. But then the commission is kind of that next level of assurance that what they're proposing, where they're proposing it, does meet all these required findings. So I just want to reiterate that that is something that the commission should definitely keep in mind. If you want this specific excerpt from the zoning ordinance, we can provide that to you as well. Just good information to have.
Scott, and just because it meets all these findings doesn't require us to approve this project if we have other concerns. Is that correct, sir?
Correct, Mr. Chairman. The commission is under no obligation to approve any project if you don't see that it fits. Keep in mind that any decision that the commission makes, whether it be approval or denial, is subject to appeal to the city council. So if the commission approves a project that may not be satisfactory to the neighbors or the neighborhood, they could take it and appeal that to the city council. On the flip side of that, if the commission were to deny an application, the applicant could appeal that to city council as well. But no, the commission is under no obligation to approve anything that you don't feel fits.
Good. Does anybody else have any questions to Scott on this item?
Yes, sir, I do. So, Mr. Ellis, Vice Chair Maston made some comments on the first item on the agenda tonight was the 5 units there off of 12th and Mingus Avenue, and I kind of I agree with her concerns about the impact this apartment complex is going to have to the condos or the duplexes to the north. From what I saw going over there, it looks like it's only a 4-foot chain link fence. The entire back of that building, so all 4 units is Arcadia glass doors, which means every car that comes in and out of that parking lot is going to be shining straight into those windows. And I'm just wondering, I know we don't really have the ability to go back on the condos or the duplexes and require them to put in, a 6-foot wood fence or something to protect those residents. But is there, what in this situation could we be doing? I don't feel right requiring the applicant to put up a 6-foot fence on the other side of the alley. And I think even with the screening that was suggested, the parking lot is taking up the bulk of that alleyway. And so any screening that could be done with landscaping is actually going to be minimal at best. But the impact to those neighbors to the north is going to be fairly substantial. What could we have done, or how could we have dealt with that issue maybe more thoroughly than what we actually did, if anything?
So, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Garrison, that's a very good question. We do have in various places in our ordinance, specifically something like this in our landscape ordinance and the zoning ordinance of this specific zone, where the screening is looked at, and again, sometimes it doesn't have to be a 6-foot wall or a 6-foot fence. There's been numerous times where we'll ask for a 3-foot wall or a 4-foot wall to help with that headlight issue. For example, on this Circle K that just opened up on the corner of Main and Mingus, on the 15th Street side where there's parking that would otherwise shine across 15th Street, they put a wall up right there to help block those headlights. You'll see the same thing over at Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts. That wall that surrounds it is for the drive-through, so that when the cars are coming through the drive-through, they're not blinding the oncoming traffic. So we try to address those and look at that impact in that way. And the commission is free to, if you notice these things and it's not mentioned in the staff report or not addressed on the site plans, the commission is free to then bring it up. And as part of a conditional use permit, you can put those conditions on it as you see needed.
So, Mr. Ellis, just for clarification, I think in this case, my hesitance was because it looked like that wall would need to be on neighboring property rather than the applicant property. Can we ask them to do that on neighboring property?
We can't make the neighbors agree to it. We can ask if they work together. And we've had instances of that happening too, where they'll approach, say, hey, we need to go ahead and do this. We want to help you out. Make sure your neighbors aren't affected by what we're doing. And we let them work it out. A lot of times it works, but we can't require that they go and make the neighbor, or we can't make that neighboring property accommodate that if they don't want to.
Okay.
Any other questions of Scott?
Oh, I got one more. Real quick. I noticed that you printed out just a ton of new ordinances and rules and all that in the back of the book. Are you going to leave that there and continue to add to it as things modify, or were you going to pull that out of our handbook? And
are you talking about the commissioner handbook?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll look at that.
Commissioner handbook, our meeting book. Well, the meeting notebook. At the very back of the book is a good half-inch worth of rules and articles, and I'm just wondering if you're going to leave those there, or if you're going to be adding to them, or are you going to pull them out? Because if you're going to throw them away, then I'll probably pull them out and keep them and start a second book for myself.
Yes, anything that you want to keep, go ahead and pull it out.
Okay, thank you.
Good question. Good question. All right. Yes, and with the email, if you have any concerns and problems, I have a couple. Be sure to get a hold of Steve, and I'm sure they can walk you through it. Worst comes to the worst, I guess you could set up a face-to-face meeting, hopefully, to get it resolved, so we can go forward with the use of the city email for our business. I don't see any suggested topic for future meetings. If
Mr. Chairman, if
yes, Scott. Yeah.
Sorry, if I could really quick kind of hit on that. We'll go ahead and send a test email to all the commissioners' city accounts 2 weeks prior to the February meeting. With that being said, remember that the February meeting is pushed back 1 week, just like the January meeting, to accommodate the holiday. So that meeting will take place on February 22nd. We'll let you know if that will be an in-person meeting or an online meeting again when we get closer to it. But we'll go ahead and send a test email out to all of the commissioners 2 weeks before that meeting. If we don't hear a response from you, we'll give you a call, make sure that you guys have access to your city email account. And then from that time forward, please check your city email because that's where all communication will happen.
Very good. Before closing, just congratulations again to Commissioners Romeo and Garrison on their appointment to the commission, and our appreciation for you volunteering for this service. And unless anybody else has any other comments or questions?
I just have one question. Mr. Ellis, the meeting notebook, is there a process by which this gets updated? Should I drop this back off at Main Street and then plan to pick it up a week or two in advance? Is that how that works?
Yes, go ahead and drop it back by, and we'll have it ready a week before the next meeting. Typically, typically when we have our meetings in person, you'll just turn it back in the night of the meeting. Obviously, having to do it online, we'll ask you to go ahead and bring it back to us.
Thank you.
Very good. And be sure to keep anything you would like the appendix and things in the back. If you want to keep any of this information for your personal use or collection, be sure to take it out of the booklet before you return it.
And you're free to keep all of the project materials as well and give us back the binder, which is the tabs in it too.
Yeah, the binder is the important thing. That's what we need back. Okay. With that, no further ado, I'll declare this meeting adjourned. Look forward to seeing everybody next month. Stay safe and well, please.
Bye, all.